Hey, welcome back to Uncompromised. I'm Chuck Mason, and today the title of this episode is The Lie of No New Wars. As Trump is going to return to hostilities with Iran, because we all knew that that memorandum of understanding was just a pause to get the Strait of Hormuz open, and that Iran was never going to comply with any component of what the West demands that rightfully should happen, there's going to be a return to hostilities, and you're going to hear, especially on the alt-right, the Megyn Kellys and Sean Ryans and Tucker Carlsons and Nick Fuentes et al., a lie. And that lie is that Trump promised that there would be no new wars, when that's not the case. And this is why I want to do Uncompromised, because we need to take a look at the agendas behind what is happening, what's influencing decisions. And here's the reason why this is important. The entire global community has recognized that Iran should never get its hands on a nuclear weapon. In fact, we don't want another country in the world to develop nuclear weapons. This is the international community. This just isn't Trump, and it's not Israel. And so with that consensus in mind, somebody has to do something. And if the international community was correct and they were about 6 months away from actually getting some form of operable weapon, then somebody had to do something, period. The left, we understand, is going to use this to say no new wars, and this is an atrocity et al., because this is an ideological war, and neither side is going to play fair in the middle of it. But let's push the left off to the side for the moment. It's the right, and it's you and I that I'm worried about. And this lie that they're stating that Trump promised no new wars. And here's the lie. And here's the manipulation that the Megyn Kellys and the Sean Ryans and the Tucker Carlsons are using to blow their numbers through the roof. And that is this. Every U.S. president to this point, to Donald Trump and his second administration, and every following U.S. president after, always has to have the ability to use limited military action in order to protect the United States and to preserve not only our interests, but in this case, the entire world, so that Iran, who promised that if they got one, they'd use one, never gets their hands on a nuclear weapon. We are in a hangover over the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, and I understand that. But what Donald Trump did was in no way even close to that. He's doing what every other U.S. president has done, which is to use military force in a very contained manner, as what happened here, to, in fact, do what was in the best interest of the United States and the world community. Look, this would be a new war if Donald Trump was lining up 250,000 troops in order to do nation building and go and clean house in Iran, install our government in the hopes of gaining some kind of an Iranian democracy. But it wasn't anything like that. If that's what I see shaping up, then I'll join you and everybody else to make sure that that never happens. But it wasn't the case. It was the alt-right blowing up their subscriber bases and their clickbait to run a narrative that actually hurts the United States, to stand in the way of a U.S. president using force to accomplish what the world agrees is in everybody's best interest. And that was the lie of no new wars. To say no new wars means we're not going to have another Iraq and Afghanistan. We're not going to have nation building. We're not going to commit hundreds of thousands of U.S. ground troops to accomplish a failed goal. Donald Trump promised not to do that, and he didn't do it. But to look at the United States people and your audiences and say that there's no military action ever taken by a U.S. president from this day forward is utter insanity. And shame on those people for advancing this. More and more I look at this, it's like algo sluts, man. I threw it out there and look, the numbers blew up. And I bet that they're backing up truckloads of cash for these people. Shame on all of them. I want to remind you that Barack Obama, when he decided to address the nuclear issue in Libya, which was nowhere near the level of advancement that the Iranian nuclear program had achieved. When Muammar Gaddafi had said, we're going to gain a nuclear weapon, Barack Obama rightly said, no, you're not. He did 8 months worth of bombing. He bombed right up to the day until he left office. He did what was necessary. He hit dual-use targets that Trump didn't even do. He pulled back because he didn't want to damage civilian infrastructure that would cause the innocent Iranian people to die. And yet Barack Obama got away with 8 months worth of bombing, which I'm fine with. Even caused the changeover of the government in Libya, and it's a hellhole right now. But do you hear anything about that? You don't. Because every U.S. president needs the right and the opportunity and the ability to use short-term military options to protect not only the people of the United States, but the global community. It's shame on the algo sluts for running a lie of no new wars. It wasn't even close. Nowhere in the ballpark. And we're all safer in America and in the world today because of it. Thanks again for being part of Uncompromised. And once again, until the next episode, stay safe. Welcome to Uncompromised with Chuck Mason, where we'll take an independent look at the ideas that are impacting our world. Basically, this show is going to be there is a right narrative and there's a left narrative and there's the reality and the in-between that we have to live through and that we have to solve. And this show is going to take an uncompromised look at where aspects are good and where they're not, where people have agendas that they're using that they don't want to solve, and we're going to try to get to the bottom in an uncompromised and unbiased way. If I could put this show into one sentence, it's this. It's Bill O'Reilly meets John Fetterman, who meets a blue-collar C.S. Lewis. Thanks for being a part of the show, and as always, like, share, and subscribe. And we thank you for your support.